Welcome back into the Rounding Third podcast. I'm Nick. We got Harrison and Sean is back with us tonight. Finally moved into his big boy home. How we doing, fellas?
Good, man. Good to be back. I'm sorry I missed you guys the last couple of weeks.
It's all good. We had a good couple weeks. Last week was a little eventful with we had some technological issues, but we're back. Hopefully my internet just won't completely crash again this week. So we'll see what happens. So here we go. All right. Before we get going, make sure you just follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast. I would love to thank everybody for their support. We just reached 400 followers on Facebook this week. So that's pretty damn awesome. So thank you, everybody, for your support over the 2 years that we've been doing this. I know getting the reels out lately, the last few months has really helped us. But yeah, I just want to thank everybody for their support. So it's been pretty awesome.
It's been awesome.
So yeah, leading off tonight, this playoff race is coming down to the wire. It's insane. This next week is going to be so fun to watch. AL West, the Rangers made a statement this weekend, sweeping the Mariners. So the Mariners got to kind of turn it around and put it together. They got 4 more with Texas, and then they got, I think, 3 with Houston. I think the Mariners end with both of them this week.
Yes, they have a lot of divisional matchups.
It is wide open for the AL West here.
What's amazing is Texas is 6-4 in their last 10. They've won 5 in a row, which shows you how bad it was before they came in and steamrolled Seattle.
Yeah, they were on quite the skid there for a while.
It was bad.
And they were just playing poorly, too. It wasn't just losing. I mean, they weren't playing well. They didn't pitch. They weren't hitting. A lot of strikeouts. Yep. Tough to watch. But I mean, ripping 5 off against the teams they're ripping them off, too. I mean, again, they were behind Seattle. They go in, rip off. You know, now they're 2.5 against Houston, who just got swept by Kansas City, which I didn't look at that twice. I'm like, there's no way I'm reading that correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, but you got to take a look. I mean, Kansas City's won 9 of their last 10, 6 in a row. They're making a really late season push here to not lose 110 games.
That's a silly number. But with that Texas, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say it's not something you're accustomed to seeing from Houston, right? Like Houston, the veteran team that they are, that knows how to win, and they've won championships. It's like when they have a chance to step on your throat, typically that's what they do. They step on your throat, and for them to give up the division lead by that way, like to get swept by Kansas City, it was a weird thing to see. You expect that from Seattle, even Texas, you would expect that, but not Houston. Yep. That's not the team you expect that from. That was bizarre.
Yeah, it's not their MO. They close out when they can close out, and it's been an interesting week for them. But they've been kind of like that all season. They've been Jekyll and Hyde for stretches, and they just better hope that doesn't continue for the next week. Otherwise, they will fall out.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing Seattle. They have Seattle these next 3 games, so it's man.
There's literally a half game between the two of them.
Right, I was going to say they're sneaking. I mean, Houston is barely hanging on to that 3rd wild card spot.
Yeah, that race is going to be insane. The wild card, the AL West, like who do you guys have a feeling is going to slip out there?
I think Seattle stays out. Like I think with Tampa, Toronto, and Houston is where it's at right now, and I think that's what you're going to end with.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Houston won't do that again, and I think that because of that, Seattle will end up just falling out.
It's fair.
Unfortunately, because I'd love to see Seattle back in the playoffs for the 2nd straight year.
I would love to see Houston sitting at home and watching the playoffs for the first time in a while.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be pretty nice. Yeah, I'd love to see, obviously Texas go in. They haven't been there in a while.
And Toronto kind of sneaky climbing up into that 2nd wild card spot. I mean, they've played well as of late too, and it's a team that, we were pretty hard on early in the year, talking about how they're just not living up to what they should be. And
I never would have guessed the Blue Jays had 87 wins though. You just haven't heard anything from them.
I know they've just kind of quietly bobbed along all season, but it's because there's been really nothing eventful there other than Alek Manoah basically falling out of baseball. They've just been a team that they kind of win 2, lose 1, win 1, lose 2. Like it's been like that all season. They've just been kind of hanging around.
Yeah. Baltimore's number to clinch the AL East is 3. So, I mean, the Baltimore Orioles be the AL East champs here.
Well, not only that, but will they finish with the best record in the American League? Because if they do, they will. And that would be pretty impressive to be really the second best team in baseball. And who would have thought the Rays, after that start, would end up falling out of first place at any point in time?
Yeah. And they're
Yeah, I mean, I
almost
almost compare that to what happened last year with the Mets and the Braves. I don't necessarily think the Rays lost it, where they did have, some mini skids in there.
Yeah.
But after the first month of the season, the Orioles just played outstanding baseball, like consistently just ridiculously good baseball. I mean, like, it's a long season. If you go 80% of the season playing 700 baseball, I mean, like you're going to end up just overtaking the lead. And that's what they did. And once they got a hold of it, they rarely let it go. I mean, there was like one period of time, like about a month ago, where it was like back and forth, kind of Tampa, then Baltimore, then Tampa, then Baltimore. But for the most part, Baltimore took it from them and hasn't really let it go.
No, 1,000% right. Baltimore's got Washington this week, so I mean they have a chance to clinch it right away. But yeah, this NL wild card too. I mean, Marlins are hanging on. I mean, I think the Reds are done. They're 2.5 back. So right now you got Philly, Diamondbacks, and the Cubs in the wild card spots, and the Marlins are a game back. The Miami freaking Marlins
with a negative 51 run differential.
Right. It's amazing. And you've gotten literally nothing out of Alcantara, who is not good during the season. He's out now. You trade away Pablo Lopez, and that team just continues to fight and survive, even against all odds. I mean, their expected win-loss is 73 and 83. Like, they just continue to outplay what they are.
Yeah, it's crazy. Baseball, man.
I mean, for that purpose alone, I'd love to see them just get in there and cause a little havoc.
Right.
Well, the
like,
Marlins only make the playoffs and win the World Series. So,
yeah, seriously. It's just to cause a little havoc, right? Because it's like a team that is doing this year, a team that is winning close games and finding ways to win games they shouldn't be winning. That's a team I wouldn't feel comfortable with in the postseason.
No,
now of course, they get LA or Atlanta, it's toast. But I mean, you sneak in there and you get Philly, or you sneak in there and you get the Cubs. Depending on how it would shake out, although it would probably be the Cubs that they would end up replacing. But you get a team that you can just maybe steal a game or two from. Like, who knows? Wreak a little havoc. I'd love to see something like that.
Yeah, the Cubs have Atlanta, and the Miami Marlins got the Mets. So if this is a chance for the Marlins to leapfrog, it would be this series right here. I don't know who they both end with. It'd be crazy if it was each other, but it's probably not going to work out that way. But yeah, I mean, Cubs got Atlanta for 3. Miami's got the Mets for 3. So it's the Marlins to take, I think, and it's the Cubs to lose. I mean,
and the Cubs are in Atlanta too. I mean, I'm sorry, they're in Atlanta, Miami.
Yeah. No, Miami's at New York. The Cubs are at Atlanta.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And Atlanta's not necessarily easing up either. I mean, they're not
wins.
mailing it in.
No.
100 wins, ho hum, no problem.
Whatever.
So, your view right now, do the Marlins leap and take over the Cubs?
I say no. Even though this is a tough stretch, in order to do that, they need the Cubs to get swept, and they need to take at least 2 out of 3. And
right.
I don't know if the Cubs are going to get swept. The Cubs are plus 101 run differential. It's a team that is just – I'd love to see it for Chicago, but a guy like Dansby Swanson, I mean, they have that leadership. They have that kind of thing that they've been missing in the past, where it's like, we know how to get it done in September. Like, don't worry. We're going to make sure, we're going to get it done. I think the Cubs stay in, and I think Miami is just on the outside looking in when it's all said and done.
What about you, Harrison?
I mean, I want to see Miami make it just because I think it could be a cool story to see it. I don't think they do, but we can't forget about the fact that Arizona and the Cubs are tied.
Yeah,
Right. So in theory,
Right.
if Arizona, they got the White Sox right now, so there's no reason to lose 2 out of 3 there. But Arizona could also fall out. You got one game separating the final 3 teams.
Right.
I still think it's going to be Arizona, Chicago. I'd love to see Miami, but I don't think they can pull it off. They're just going to run out of time.
Yeah. I would be really sore if my Diamondbacks fell out at this point. Like, they've had a pretty good season, and I would love to see them in the playoffs for sure.
Well, the White Sox is tough. I mean, I'm sorry, the Diamondbacks are tough because they're at Chicago. Then they have Houston. In they're playing Houston in a game where Houston's going to have to win it, right? Because Houston's going to have conceivably somebody right on their heels too. So I wouldn't be fully shocked. I'm biased, though. I want Arizona in. I want them to make the postseason. I picked Lovulo as manager of the year, and that would be a tough break for them to kind of lose it at the end of September, October, and not get in. He may not win it anyways, but it gives him a much better chance, right, if he gets him into the postseason.
Absolutely.
So I want Arizona, so I'm going to choose to believe that it stays the way it is now, but wouldn't be totally shocked.
Well, so real quick, so Miami's got they're in New York with the Mets and in Pittsburgh against the Pirates. The Cubs are in Atlanta and in Milwaukee.
What about the Diamondbacks?
White
Sox.
and
Astros. Yeah.
I mean, honestly,
I don't know, man.
Miami's
Miami
got the easiest remaining games.
Out of those 3, they sure do.
It's going to be a hell of a week because
I can't wait.
The Cubs are going to have to earn it. They're going to earn if they hold on, they've earned it for sure.
Yeah. Do you guys feel that, like, playing tough games at this point and you get into the playoffs, does that give you an edge up?
Oh, hell yeah. Imagine if you're the Cubs and you take 2 out of 3 in Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care who they have after Atlanta. If you take 2 out of 3 in Atlanta with your season on the line, these essentially are playoff games because if you lose them, you're out. So essentially, this is a playoff series.
And you got Milwaukee after that. If you're the Cubs and you go take 4 out of the next 6 or 5 out of the next 6 and go into the playoffs, like it's 2 teams that are in the playoffs with you, that's a massive boost.
Yeah.
Massive.
Fair.
For sure.
I think that's the same way, like, the AL West is going to play out too. Like, whoever comes out of that gauntlet at the end, like, they're going to be riding a hot streak, and I think they could make some noise for sure. Yeah, crazy. So the playoff picture as we speak right now. So the Twins clinched this week. The Brewers clinched this week, and a kind of cool story is Rowdy Tellez is the first position player to be on the mound pitching when their team clinched. So they were up like big in the 9th inning, and the Brewers clinched that night, and he was pitching. So I thought that was pretty cool. And of all people, Rowdy Tellez. So it was pretty awesome. But yeah, so right now, if the playoffs started today, it'd be Houston against the Twins, and then the Rays against the Blue Jays, and the Rangers and the Orioles get the bye in the AL. In the NL, obviously, the Atlanta Braves get the bye. The Dodgers get the 2 seed. Oh, there you go. And then Cubs against Brewers, and then Diamondbacks, Phillies. So, I mean, if that's how it shakes out, it's how it shakes out. But
Cubs would have to go Atlanta, Milwaukee. Whew.
Yeah, 2 series back.
Yeah, Atlanta, Milwaukee, LA. That'd be a hell of a run to the World Series.
And then probably Atlanta again.
Probably
Atlanta again. Right? So Atlanta, Milwaukee, LA, Atlanta. Oh, gauntlet.
Okay, sure.
That bottom bracket in the AL is all AL East.
It is awesome.
That's crazy how that played out. But yeah, if the Orioles, it's a goal, the Orioles got a good shot to get to the ALCS right there. I like that matchup for them.
Yeah, I mean, they're likely going to face Tampa. The 2 of them have really battled all season, so.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, crazy. All right, let's see what else we got. Oh, the other interesting stat, the Twins obviously have been 18 straight playoff games without a W. 13 are against the Yankees. So, with the Yankees out, hopefully the Twins can actually win a playoff game. But
it's Houston.
Right. As we speak, it's Houston. So,
Right, as we speak, right.
man, absolutely insane. So
Speaking
I
of
can't wait
Yankees,
for this. Go ahead.
Did you guys see the picture of their final home game yesterday?
Yeah.
There was like 9 people in the bleachers, and the place was empty.
Yeah.
The-
And
the
they
fans
announced the
affect-
attendance
In
at
Minnesota?
41,000.
Yeah, Yankees fans have effectively said, "We're done."
Yeah. They said
I mean, they're still technically in it.
the Yankees got eliminated.
I thought
I
I
think
could
they're
have sworn MLB Network had their magic number at 1.
Oh no, that was yesterday. They got eliminated.
Okay.
yeah, they're 6 games.
They're
out of the
6
wild
games
card.
back with 6 to play.
Gotcha.
But yeah, absolutely insane.
Well, yeah, 6 games back with 6 to play. They need everyone to lose, and they need to win all 6.
Yeah, but they'd lose the
The
tiebreaker.
magic number is 1.
They don't hold the tiebreaker against anybody.
Okay.
So they have technically been eliminated.
Man, Red Sox and Yankees this year, man.
Not sad about it.
Brutal. Nope, I'm not either. But
No, who would have thought?
crazy. Yeah, so this next week is must-watch baseball for sure. That's all it's going to be on my TV for
Yeah,
the
it's
next
gonna be
week.
wild.
But absolutely insane. So we mentioned last week that the MLB is announcing a Team Silver Slugger Award. The nominees were mentioned this week. So in the AL, you have the Rangers, Rays, Astros, and Mariners. Who wins that?
Say it again. Angels.
No,
Angels,
Rangers, Rays, Astros,
Rangers.
Mariners.
I mean, Rangers. I
And
would
when
say.
it comes to offense, yeah, it's got to be the Rangers.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's the most runs in the American League,
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
mash.
So,
and they mash.
right. So here's a side question to that. With Shohei Ohtani being on the shelf for, the rest of the season, and it was 2 weeks ago now? Does Corey Seager take over the AL MVP vote?
No.
How many games has he played? Enough games? I know he was
He
hurt
was
for a
like
while.
104 last I saw.
But I mean, the season he's putting up is pretty.
Oh, he's
ridiculous.
unreal.
Yeah, he's at 112. So when I looked last week, so he's played every game since.
And he has 30 plus homers, right?
Best case,
He's got 33.
yeah, best case he ends up at like
33 and
118 games.
96. 118 games, maybe 35 home runs, maybe breaks the 100 RBI.
Yeah, 35 and a hundo.
He could. I mean, it's for a shortstop.
I know the numbers are crazy.
Pretty
Imagine
damn
if that
good,
guy
man.
played a whole season.
Yeah, I don't know if he quite takes over the MVP vote myself. Shohei's just Shohei and what he did this year. He was top 5 in pitching, top 5 in hitting.
If we just base it on Ken's favorite stat of WAR, Shohei's got him 10.1 to 7. And Shohei's WAR is one of the highest in baseball history.
Well, I mean, obviously he's on both sides of the ball.
And he's still out hit Seager, 304, 44 and 95. I mean, he's still at least even offensively with Seager without the pitching being considered. And the guy missed. He'll finish with 100. He's played 135 games.
135 games. So he's
Played more games.
He's got
Out hit him.
600 played, 599. So let's round it up one at bat, a plate appearance, and say you got 600 plate appearances for Shohei. Corey Seager, how many plate appearances here?
But that almost gives me the argument.
507.
Yeah.
So it's
more
Corey
now.
Seager is putting up 30. Let's say he gets 35 and 100
Yep.
with let's say 80 less plate appearances, playing a premier defensive position at shortstop.
Yep. And I mean,
I don't know. I mean, it's a closer argument, I think, than we think. It's the games played. It's the 100 and let's say less than 120 games played. It's hard to say you're the most valuable player when you've missed 40 something.
Yeah, you missed a quarter of the season.
I mean, the WAR stat though, to go back to your comment about it, Harrison, Seager's got a 7 WAR. Ohtani plays both sides of the ball and has a 10.
Yep.
So I mean, that makes me lean towards Seager a little bit more. He's making more of an impact at that position. I mean, I get it. Shohei Ohtani is Shohei Ohtani. That's It's who he is. But
It's also a tough look to give an MVP to a guy that got hurt and couldn't finish the season.
It is. I mean,
And that's just like that's just a me thing. Like, and I'm not saying that should disqualify him by any stretch, but it's like it's tough. I mean, most valuable player, but
yeah, I mean, for me personally, I'd rather see a guy like Seager get it than Ohtani get it. For Ohtani's team finished 10 games under 500. He missed the last 6 weeks of the season, and honestly, as good as he was, clearly it didn't make much of a friggin' difference. The Angels still stunk. Whereas Seager's on a team that's going to make the playoffs for the first time in a long time. I mean, when you talk about it, gets into the argument of what's valuable. Is the most valuable player just the guy that puts up the best stats, or the guy that has the biggest impact? Because you could argue Ohtani's impact doesn't matter because the team's still not good. How much worse would they be without him? Who cares? Seager's actually made a meaningful difference on a team that's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to the post if Ohtani doesn't win the MVP.
Well,
this will be the second year in a row he'll be snubbed.
Yeah, the writers are going to give it to him because that's
missed me with last year. He wasn't snubbed last year.
I don't think so either. But all the people that
I'll take as much time out of my day to make that argument every day of the week.
Yeah.
He was not snubbed against Aaron Judge.
No,
Aaron Judge had a better year all around than Shohei Ohtani.
Aaron Judge has been out for half the season and he's still got 35 bombs. Like
Aaron Judge last year was the most valuable player. Like I don't.
Yeah, I have no argument.
This year there's more of an argument if it's between Shohei and Seager. There's definitely an argument that can be made. Last year there was no argument.
No, I don't think so either. But yeah, I just know that there'll be people out in groves if Ohtani doesn't win it this year. But it is what it is.
Ohtani will win it because that's what the writers want to write about.
Yeah, fair. All right. So yeah, like I said, crazy week of baseball coming up. So we will see what happens. I do have 3 trivia questions for you guys that involve the postseason. So here we go. Top 3 players to have the most home runs in the postseason.
In a single postseason or in their career?
In a single postseason?
Sorry,
or
career. So let me ask that again. Top 3 career postseason home run leaders.
David Ortiz.
A-Rod.
Nope.
Which one did you say no
Both.
to? Oh, okay. Manny?
Manny is number 1 with 29.
No kidding.
Is Jim Thome in there? I feel like he had a
No, there is a current player on this list.
Miguel Cabrera?
Jose Altuve?
Jose Altuve
Of
with
course.
23.
Altuve.
Altuve
That's right.
has hit
Altuve.
a stupid number of playoff home runs.
And then the other one is a 90s Yankees player.
Paul O'Neill.
Nope.
Scott Brocious.
Nope. Scott Brocious.
Scott Brocious.
Oh, come on. I loved him at third base.
Tino Martinez?
Nope.
Posada.
Nope. He's not really
Should've
known
sure
for
it
his
wasn't 90s.
It's
power.
always those guys. It's like the guy that you don't expect to hit a lot of home runs does.
Well-known
Williams.
guitar.
Bernie
Williams, yeah. 22.
Yeah.
So
He played in a lot of playoff
Bernie
games.
Williams at 22 career postseason home runs.
22 career postseason home runs. Yeah.
Dude played a lot of games.
Yeah. Crazy. So yeah.
Still, 22 postseason home runs. I don't care how many games he
I
played.
feel
I feel like I should have known that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that should have been easy.
I
Yeah.
feel like he always hit him.
Yeah.
He had that easy, graceful swing.
He really
And
did
that
have
short
a nice
porch,
sweet
right?
swing. Yep. 1,000%. Okay.
He had 22 home runs. All but like 2 of them traveled like 298 feet.
You're right. All right. Top 3 career postseason wins.
Verlander.
Verlander was 16. He's number 2.
Pettit.
Pettit, number 1 with 19.
Jeez, that's a lot of wins.
Pedro.
Not Pedro.
Clemens.
Nope.
Active or retired?
Retired.
Kurt Schilling.
He announces now.
Smoltz.
Smoltz. Yeah, with 15.
Smoltz. Wow.
Yep.
Good for Smoltz.
Paul.
Yep. Pettit 19, Verlander
did you-
16, Smoltz 15.
Did you guys see in the box at the Braves game a week or 2 ago? when they were showing the footage of Smoltz getting hit by a pitch, and he like clams, like puts his arms together, falls on the ground, and Chipper Jones is like destroying him in the box about how not to take a hit by pitch.
Yeah.
It was,
It was
those
pretty
guys, I would
awesome.
love to watch the Braves games just to listen to that booth.
Right. All right. The last one I have is top 3 career postseason hits.
Oh boy. Jeter.
Jeter, number 1 with 200.
That's insane. He's got a whole season worth of hits.
Yeah.
Well, it helps when you played every postseason.
Any active guys?
No active guys. We've already mentioned the
So
2 of these at some point.
So Jeter's number 1 with 200. You said.
Yep. Manny is number 3 with 117.
That's a big gap. Holy cow.
That's a big hit.
Bernie Williams.
Ortiz?
Bernie Williams, 128. So
That's a lot of hits.
200 to 128 between
Oh my
Jeter
God.
and Bernie Williams.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's a lot of hits.
200. It's absolutely insane.
I have a bonus one for you.
Let's
nice.
hear it.
You know which pitcher has the most strikeouts in a singular postseason, and do you know what the number is?
Ooh. Not active, right?
He's not active. I can give you the year if that helps.
Yes, give us the year.
2001.
Johnson.
Nope.
Schilling.
Do you know the number?
He probably got what, 4 starts?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess.
I think it was 5. I think it was 5 stars.
54.
56.
Oh,
wow, you got it
dang.
right there.
You're so
56.
close.
54, 55, and it was 56.
Oh, so
Yeah,
close.
Kurt Schilling with 56 in 2001.
That's
Dang.
a lot of Ks.
That's a lot of Ks in
That's
one postseason.
nuts, man.
I mean, that's you're probably
I think it went.
probably 5
I
stars.
looked it up. I don't have it right in front of me. It went like 10, 9, 12, 9, 9, or like something like that. However that like math works out. But it ended with 56. It was crazy.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Talk about 2 people that shouldn't be on the same pitching staff at that time as Randy Johnson and
I know
Kurt
those
Schilling.
2.
How did they not win more?
Oh my God! Because they had 3 other people that had to take the ball between them.
True. Good point.
But
But I
My
will
God.
say in 01, he and Randy Johnson threw that team on their back and carried them.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
crazy.
What a nasty one, too.
Yeah. All right. We have the question of the week that I threw out this week. Who is the first manager to get fired this offseason?
Go ahead, Sean.
It won't be Boone.
No, it should
It
be.
should be Boone. It won't
It
be
should
Boone.
be, but it won't be.
Boone. Was that set up for me? You guys had this 2 weeks planned?
Yes.
3
That
weeks
was set
ago.
up for me to go
Yes,
off.
as soon as
Go
you
off,
got
yeah.
off 2 weeks ago.
I've been
we're
planning
like,
this since like April, man. I've been waiting for the day we could announce his firing and you could have that moment.
Oh, me too. Me too. I'm gonna come in like Stephen A. Smith came into that with the cowboy hat on when the Cowboys lost. He had like the jersey and the cowboy hat on.
Yes.
That's how I'm gonna come in.
And he talks smack
yes.
about Shohei Ohtani and then spikes the first pitch.
Yeah.
Oh, so bad.
I don't know, man. It's the Red Sox sacrificial lamb was Heim, so it's not gonna be Cora.
There.
I mean, I would say Bob Melvin, but like I still think they believe in him in San Diego. Like I don't think they're ready for that kind of shakeup because, like, again, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. Like, who are they going to come in that's better than Bob Melvin to handle all those egos? Like,
Tony La Russa.
I don't know. I don't know. Let me think on that a little more. That's a good question.
All right. Well, I'll go over the answers while you're thinking about it. So Joshua Rodriguez said Aaron Boone, and then he put up a GIF that said the fucker's got to go. It's like,
I mean, he does have to go, but it's not
Yeah.
going to be Boone.
Ken Sawyer said Alex Cora. Doug said, I would say Boone, but Yanks have already said they're sticking with him for reasons unknown to many.
Unknown.
It's,
Unknown to man. Not unknown to
He's-
many. Unknown
he's got
to
pictures
man.
of-
There's no man that knows.
He's got like compromising pictures of somebody. I don't get it.
Yeah. Henley the Rose said, honestly, don't see too many people being fired. Players from the Mets have said they want to keep Buck. I think, what does it say? I think the Sox firing Boone means Cora is probably staying. So just like you said, Sean, I believe the Yankees have said they're sticking with Boone. Melvin is probably the one I'd pick out of all the managers. I could see he's the one on the hot seat.
I actually, to go back to Buck, I actually I didn't see them until you guys mentioned it earlier on the show, but with the comments from Tommy Pham coming out, I wouldn't be shocked if Buck does not come back. I mean, if it's out there from a former player that like this team doesn't work hard and they were supposed to be favorites to win the World Series and they're like a billion games under 500, like how can you bring that manager back?
Yeah,
Right.
It's fair. It's a great
Like
point.
I don't care, and I understand that players underperformed and like you had injuries and I get all that, right? But like when you don't work hard,
Yeah, that's on the manager.
like when you're starting to get the reputation that it's a country club in the clubhouse while your team is just vastly underperforming, like who else do you blame?
And like these weird games, like with Pete Alonso, like I'm not going to go catch that pop fly, like that kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
Like that, I mean, it's got to be Buck, right?
Yeah, my answer.
I don't care. And if I'm Steve Cohen, it's like, dude, I get that you guys like him, like he's a nice guy, but like he's not what we need right now. Like we need somebody that's going to come in and get you guys to play the way that you can play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd answered the question on Facebook, and I said there's 4 managers I can see moving. It's Cora, Boone, Showalter, and Melvin. I don't think Cora goes anywhere. I don't think Melvin necessarily goes anywhere. But after the reports of them coming out with leadership issues and all that, you never know. Melvin may also opt out. He may just say this isn't for me.
Right.
And I could see Buck Showalter saying, "Look, I'm done. I don't want to go through a rebuild. I'm not at that point in my career anymore. See ya."
I mean, I would say Marmol in St. Louis
was
as well,
just
just with
gonna
how
bring him up.
vastly underperforming they were. But I think you got to give him a little more time.
Yeah, they've already said that he's got their support, so I think he's safe.
Right. Like you got to give him a little more time. I don't think that's fair. I mean, like who are you, the New York Jets? Right? Like you hire a guy, he doesn't make the playoffs in 2 years, and then you fire him. It's like, well, like no shit. Like it takes time to build this stuff up.
Right.
You know, now granted, the St. Louis Cardinals are a great organization, so that's not the best comparison. But like they underperformed. I get it. Wipe that year away. Like let's move on. Now, if we have another disastrous April, then he might be the first one fired next year.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
Yeah.
You know, like if they get off to the same kind of start. But
What
I think you got to be in his corner a little bit.
Yeah.
one manager too, I think, kind of falls off the radar is Bud Black out in Colorado. That team just continues to exist. They're not good.
Is he still there?
He's still there.
I assumed he'd been gone.
No, that's the thing. Like,
Shows you how much Colorado Rockies games.
that's exactly my point. Like, he's just like out there, and people forget about him.
Yeah.
I think at some point the Rockies just have to say, look, we just have to go a different direction, start over. We've given you nothing to work with. This isn't good for anybody. Why are we still doing this?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Bud Black at some point just goes, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of being in Colorado, getting my head kicked in every year.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you look at teams who are outside the postseason, right? And it's like, even a team that we talked about earlier, like Miami. Miami's not getting rid of they are vastly overperformed.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Right? Whether Arizona falls out or not, they're not getting rid of Luvullo.
No.
Washington's not getting rid of Davey Martinez. They love him. And I actually think he's done a decent job,
Yes.
more than decent job with what they have. I mean, that's a AAA ball club.
Yep.
I mean, and again, they are the opposite of the Mets in the sense that, like, they play hard every game. Like, that's not a team that you can just roll over because, like, they rolled out of bed and had a bad day.
Right.
So they're just going to give up. Like, that team plays hard.
And they have decent
don't have
young.
the
They
talent.
have decent young talent that's gonna develop and
Sure.
be good.
And you know, like, you look at teams outside the postseason, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of managerial changes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really
Fair.
don't. Like, I think what you see vastly is what you're going to have next year.
Yeah,
There
Doug
were-
made another comment about the Oakland A's, but at the same time, like it's Mark Kotze, it's the Oakland A's. They might just hang on to what they got until they make the move to Vegas and then rebuild it there.
Well, that's as long as Kotze wants to keep doing it.
Well, right.
Well, and for Kotze, first managerial job, first year on the job. I mean, they're going to let him keep going. He's going to probably want to keep going because he's still excited about it. Two names I've heard recently that I didn't think much about. One was Phil Nevin with the Angels. He took the job when Joe Madden got fired. The teams continued to stink. He wasn't really the guy they wanted. There's a high likelihood that he'll be gone. And then there's also some rumblings in Chicago that they feel like they made a mistake giving Pedro Grifol the manager role, and that Ryan Dorf is considering taking him out and doing a full chuck a hand grenade at the organization rebuild. And they don't feel like he's the guy for that.
Yeah, I mean,
I could see that. I could
the
see
White
Chicago.
Sox. Yeah, I
And
can see
that would be very much like the White Sox, who don't do stuff that makes any sense.
So,
Well, it's not that it doesn't make sense. What didn't make sense was the whole La Russa right to Grifol. It was almost as though like
Yeah.
when the La Russa thing didn't work out, it's like we don't have a backup. Like, how do you not have a plan? The guy's 1,000 years old. Like, did you think it was going to be seamless?
Yeah, and
That was that's more the part that if they get rid of Grifol, like, so be it. I didn't watch a ton of Chicago White Sox games, but I wasn't impressed with the games that I watched. Like, I'm not sitting there being like, oh, you got to hang on to this guy. So I'm not going to lose any sleep if they get rid of him. But what didn't make sense was they just didn't seem to have a plan.
Yeah, and I think that all the nonsense that came out after the Tim Anderson glass jaw incident, where you found out how just dysfunctional it was. I think a lot of people are pointing at Grifol just not having the experience to pull that team together.
Yeah,
who knows?
That's fair. Couple other comments. Nick Fanning said Cora could probably go. Buck Showalter, so he's on the Cora and Showalter train. And then Vinny Maturo said Boone. So
there's a lot of people.
There's
a lot of people that believe Cora goes to the front office, and I don't see it.
We'll see. I don't know. I'm very firmly open as a Cora apologist. I think he's a really good manager. I think, and again, this probably also goes to the whole Boone thing, but I'll never give Boone an excuse. But you can only do so much with the talent that you have. Yep. Now, Boone's roster is much more talented than Cora's roster, but Boone's roster also has major flaws. Like the roster construction that has been given to Boone his years in New York has had major flaws. However, I do think there are strengths on New York that he just doesn't know what to do with, mainly the back end of that bullpen for the majority of the season. Yeah. Like I just don't think he knows how to handle a bullpen, which is just criminal at that level.
I mean, we've talked about his in-game management and how terrible it is. I mean, like at that time, it was like you said, the back half with like the whole dealing with Clay Holmes and like not letting him close. And like, it was just for a while there, it was like, what is this guy doing?
Like, he's bringing the wrong guys in the eighth. He's bringing the right guy in, but like with one out in the eighth. And it's like, why don't we just give him a clean inning? Like you're saving him, 9 pitches? Like, what's the point? I thought a lot of it was just so bizarre, almost as though he was just like, I don't know what to do. I'm just going to, that guy. It was very bizarre. But I think Cora, by and large, is a good manager. I think if you give him like a Major League Baseball filled out roster, I think you will win a lot of baseball games. If they decide to go away and go in a different route, like that's their prerogative, I don't know if I would agree with it, but I'd be surprised. I think Chaim Bloom was the sacrificial lamb. Chaim Bloom they parted ways, and it was, hey, we blame you, Chaim, and we don't blame anyone else. We don't blame the manager. We don't blame the coaching staff. We don't blame the players. We blame Chaim for putting this product on the field, and he's gone, and everyone else is rallying behind Cora, and that's the way I see it, at least.
Yeah, I think that was like, I don't know if gutsy is the right word for it, but when Cora came out after the trade deadline in that press conference and was like, I just haven't been given the pieces that I thought we were going to get at the deadline. Yeah. Like that was like, then the organization was like, oh crap. Like we want to keep this guy, but he's not happy. So we got to do something.
Well, in the whole Chaim, as things are starting to come out, like piece by piece, like I know Harrison and I have said, like, I actually didn't think he did that bad of a job as far as like constructing the roster with what his parameters were. But then pieces start to come out, which, I mean, believe it or don't believe it, I kind of do a little bit, where they said that Chaim had an opportunity to trade away Chris Sale.
And all his money.
Right, with the money, and then he chose against it because he wanted like better pieces in return. And it's like, okay, that's a tough look, particularly when you're the guy that's brought in to like clean up the books a little bit. You have an opportunity to get all of this money off of the books, and you didn't do it because you wanted like another low-level young kid. Like, I don't know. Like, if that's true, if that's how it played out, that's a tough look.
Especially with,
like that's tough to defend.
An impending free agent coming on the market.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make I'm sure the Red Sox have the money. I'm not saying they don't. Dude,
Will Middlebrook. I saw something on Twitter. Will Middlebrook said that, like, from everything he's understanding what he's been told, like, the Red Sox are fully ready. They're like raring to go to make a legitimate offer.
Yeah.
Like the Red Sox are gonna do what they feel is necessary to make that happen.
Yeah, this to me this whole thing is ownership panicking because of the response they're getting from the fan base
From
with
the
merch
fans,
sales
yeah.
down, ticket sales down. And they had to show some strength, so they cut Heim, although Heim was doing exactly what he was told to do and what he was brought there to do. And they're going to change directions, and they're going to bring in either O'Halloran stays around or somebody else kind of slides into that seat. And
I heard Sam Fold. Sam Fold is on the short list here.
I'd love to see Sam Fold. I used to hit in the batting cages next to him. He's a Durham, New Hampshire boy. He's a really smart baseball guy.
Yeah, so I guess he's worked with Dombrowski in Philadelphia for a little while. He's, that's a pretty good guy to learn under. I know Dombrowski's kind of the opposite of Heim, right, with the way he builds teams.
Right.
But I mean, you learn from a really successful general manager who's done it at many different teams. Like it's not like he's only done it one place.
No, Dombrowski's a hit man.
That's the thing with Heim, though. Heim really only had the experience in Tampa, and it worked, but it was one place. Like Dombrowski's been everywhere, man, and everywhere he's gone, he's built successful teams, and Sam Fold's learned from him. I wouldn't mind seeing him get a shot.
Imagine if Fold comes in and his first signing Shohei Ohtani. Imagine that.
Put him in Cooperstown.
Yeah, like man, oh man, it's crazy. But
I mean, it depends on what the ownership group's going to do in terms of direction. They wanted to go cheaper. They wanted to go younger. Now they don't want to do that anymore. They want to go down a different path. I mean, Dombrowski's a hit man. People bring him in to gut the organization, load up the talent, and go for it all. And usually when
Nick,
he leaves,
if Sam Fold gets the job, Nick, we should have like a type 1 diabetes day at Fenway. Me, you, and Sam Fold.
absolutely, all in.
Harrison, you're not invited.
that's fine. I'll sit this one out.
Me and my working pancreas will stay at home.
Yeah, exactly. You guys can celebrate that together. I'll hang out here and I'll eat some candy in your honor. But a guy like Dombrowski, and maybe Fold's going to do the same thing. He's going to come in, he's going to load up, he's going to go for broke, and he's going to leave it in shambles. Look at Detroit, look at Boston. I mean, that's his track record. Philadelphia in a few years is going to be in
Detroit. I mean, he did it with Detroit. He did it with Florida.
He did it with Detroit, Boston, Florida. Everywhere he goes,
Montreal.
He goes all in. They win, and then the place is a mess, and he leaves. He's a hitman. He comes in to win a World Series and then get out of town.
Yeah.
And maybe they're going to do that again because it worked here in 18. But this is ownership, I think, reacting to the feedback from the fans and trying to find a person to blame. And Heim made a bullet for him, although he was doing what he was supposed to do. And if they're going to go back to the days of Dombrowski, then be prepared for 3 great years and then 3 that aren't. 3 great years and 3 that aren't.
Like I said at the deadline, though, like the Red Sox weren't out of it. Like they could have made 1 or 2 key moves.
It's the same thing last year.
And made a decent run. Right.
But to me, and I think the fact that that's the same case 2 years in a row, they didn't make the moves that you're thinking are right in front of their faces to make. They fall completely off the rails in the second half of the season. I mean, Heim, for all of his faults that people want to point at, he is not a dumb person.
No.
So I think the directive to Heim was, unless you can do it on the cheap, don't do it.
Yeah.
Which I think is why, that's why I fully agree with Harrison. I do think this was his parameters. These were his objectives.
Yeah.
The number one objective was not. Go ahead.
Do you think the timing of it was weird? I mean, it was mid-September. And they're just like, yeah, thanks, we're done. Like they didn't wait for the season to be over and then can them.
I wonder if that has something to do with I wonder if the rules of Major League Baseball is like I wonder if they wanted first crack at available guys. I wonder if there's a couple of guys on their list that they want first crack at. And I'm sure there are some, like, if you already have the position filled, you can't be talking to other guys about a position. Like, I'm sure that's kind of in the rules. I don't know. I wonder if it's like, hey, we have 3 or 4 guys we really like, so we're going to have a vacated position. And that way that allows us to ask permission to Philadelphia to talk to Sam Fold earlier than most other teams, because other teams are going to wait until the off. I don't know. I just, because it was a bit weird. Like it wasn't middle of the season, but it wasn't at the end, but it was close enough to the end. Like it was a bit weird.
It also makes me think they were starting to have a conversation about next year, and it was clear that they weren't thinking the same thing. And
yeah, that's true too. Probably.
Maybe we just go now and call it.
Right.
Yeah, it was just a meeting,
Well, I feel like the Red Sox didn't necessarily fire him. I feel like it was more like, we want to do this. That doesn't jive. Okay, let's just go different directions. Because it came out as they parted ways, and then the next day he was fired. And it's like, well, I didn't get the sense based on how it came out that he was fired. Maybe he was. But my guess is they're starting to talk about next year, and it was clear that they did not share the same plans.
Yeah, that's fair. So yeah, I mean, it will be interesting. I mean, I'm kind of on the same page with you guys. I don't think Cora moves. I think Cora stays. Just in the fact that like if no one really moves from their current teams, there's not going to be many candidates out there. I mean, I'm sure there's up and coming hitting coaches that would be great managers. I would love to see Veritek in the manager seat at some point. I don't think he's ever going to take it. He said he doesn't want the manager. But me, selfishly, being my favorite Red Sox of all time, I would love to see him in that spot. But I don't think it's ever going to come to fruition. But I just think of lack of candidates for the manager position. I think Cora stays. But
yeah, I agree.
All right. We got a few things heading home here. This whole San Diego Padres story debacle, I don't really know what's going on. Like, story came out saying that the San Diego Padres locker room was just absolutely in shambles, and Manny Machado was the big reason why the culture in the clubhouse was bad. And then Machado came out yesterday or the day before and said, like, the clubhouse is fine. I don't know what people are talking about. We're just underperforming. What's your take on everything happening in San Diego?
I don't know, man.
San Diego, it's a lot of really, really high priced guys that have not all played well at the same time. I mean, I think it's a lot of things. I think it's all new players that are that are getting together in a new city. I think it's an unbalanced team. I think it's a team that's got some holes in it. But ultimately, you know, you look across it, and until the latter part of the season, Soto was having a down year. Xander's not had a great year. The pitching staff's been hot and cold. Tatis has actually been good since he came back, and I think there's a lot of question about if he'd be a distraction or not. Machado's had an off year. I don't think you've seen what that team can do.
Yeah.
They just haven't put it together.
I don't know. The whole, like, where did that come from? That Machado's the reason, like, locker room cancer kind of thing. Like, did that come from internal?
It came. There was a couple of reports that came out of some internal sources that were talking about issues in the clubhouse.
And then Machado's the guy that comes out and says, no, there's no issues?
Machado was the guy that was actually kind of pointed to as the veteran leader that was not doing
right.
it.
But then Machado then came out and said, I don't know what they're talking about. There's no issue. Well,
of course.
I mean, I'm not saying he's lying. I'm just saying take that for what it's worth. I mean, if he's the one causing issues and then he comes out, he's like, no, there's no issues. It's like, well,
that's like when you ask that's like when you ask a kid, you know, did you eat that cookie and they got chocolate on their face and they say no.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, all right. I mean, it might not. I mean, he might not. That might not be a problem, but like, to me, it would mean a whole lot more if a guy like Xander came out and was like, no, that's crazy.
Yeah, Machado said like a lot when he was asked that question, a lot of the quotes that he said was left out, so they kind of shaped it that way.
Tends to be that way too, which is unfortunate.
And then like Joe Musgrove's backing him up and says Machado's one of the best teammates I've ever had. So like,
okay, well, so that's what I was looking for. Okay, so there's someone else. It's fine then.
It took a while for Musgrove to come out. It's almost like the players were like, okay, somebody's going to say something.
Yeah. So I mean, but that just kind of goes with like the season they've had. Like, they all are underperforming. There's a ton of stars on that lineup. We're all sitting here and like the Padres could win 140 games on paper. I mean, their pitching staff, their lineup, like, perennial all-stars in that lineup now, and
they've just now won 9 of their last 10, and they had won 8 in a row until the other day. They finally came to life just too late.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens next year. We'll see if they move on from Melvin or not. I don't know. I mean, Blake Snell's probably not staying there. He's going to hit free agency and go somewhere. So you're going to move.
And he's going to get paid.
Absolutely.
I do feel like some of this right now in San Diego, these guys coming to life, I think it's a lot of it's self-preservation and fear that they're going to blow this team up if they don't at least show them something at the end of the season. I think there's some hope for next year. But you got Darvish signed long-term, Xander's long-term, Tatis is long-term, Soto's another season, Machado's long-term. Like, you got a lot of these guys locked up for a long time. Yeah, if they don't figure it out, it's going to be a really expensive team to continue to finish in third.
Yeah, agree. Some pretty cool single season records here. Corbin Carroll's the first rookie to ever hit 25 home runs and steal 50 bags in a season. If you have not watched this kid play, this kid is legit. He is good on every aspect of the game. His fielding, he covers some ground out there. The kid can hit, and he is fast as hell. He's awesome to watch. He's no doubt the NL Rookie of the Year for me. I don't think it. I mean, Justin Steele. I don't think he technically qualifies as a rookie.
Who?
Yeah, the one I left off the top 100 list.
Yeah, dude. And Corbin Carroll's funny. He looks like, I mean, he's not necessarily the biggest guy, but he's like a full grown person, and he looks like a big version of like the little person from Elf.
Yeah, 100%.
Like when he's got like that goatee going on.
Right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's hilarious.
Yeah. Freddie Freeman. He's the first baseman with 20 home runs, 20 stolen bags, and 200 hits in a single season.
Should I say it again?
Say it.
He should easily be the second most expensive player in baseball. Easily. It should be Shohei most expensive, Freddie Freeman right behind him. He should easily be the second most expensive player in baseball. He's a leader. He is a Gold Glove defender.
The consistency.
Every single thing he does on the baseball field is best at the position. It is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and I would say I think the kid's probably going to make it. I think he'll be around for a little while. He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
I don't know if I'd take him on the Sox though.
He should easily be the second most expensive player in baseball.
I agree. It's just crazy. You watch any Dodgers game, or you watch like
silly.
Every time he's at bat, you're like, "Yep, that's a hit. That's a hit to left center. That's a hit through the first."
And he seems like the most likable human being on earth.
He does.
And that's another thing too. Not that should add to his like value, but it's like he just seems like you just like hang in a bar with him, and you just tell great stories, and then go like hit a baseball 600 feet.
Well, if you look at what he does off the field, he's been in LA for what, a season and a half, almost two at this point. And the impact that he's making in the community there in LA already is unreal. This guy is.
I mean, the impact he had in all those years in Atlanta.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly.
not surprising.
No,
not surprising.
It's absolutely insane. I mean, I would love to have him on my team for sure.
Yep. He's just a super good dude all around.
Yeah. Mookie Betts sets the all-time record for RBIs out of the leadoff spot. I think he's at 103. I think I saw.
That'll work.
105, I think.
105. Yeah.
That'll work.
I kind of made an offhanded comment on MLB when they posted this, and
Nick loves to stir stuff up online.
I do, and honestly, like I think a lot of people actually took it as a joke because like I worded it that way, but. Yeah, I love commenting on public posts and having people just sit there and roast me. But it's awesome. Do you think that? I mean, I mentioned this to you guys before we went on, but do you think that all these records that they seem to keep finding, like, I mean, yes, like this is a legit stat, like the most out of the leadoff spot. Like, I get it, but it just seems like every day now we have like a new record. Like I just said, Corbin Carroll, first rookie to 25 and 50. Freddie Freeman, first to 20, 20, and 200. Like, do these seem like watered down, like grasping at straws? Is baseball that statistical that we can have all these records? Is it a combination of all of it? Like, I just feel like they don't really mean much.
Do you think that Freddie Freeman stat you just read off doesn't mean much?
I guess mean much isn't the word I'm trying to say. I don't know. I think it seems like it's like, why is there a record set every single day in the MLB? Like yes, these players are good. I get it, but it's just like, it seems like.
Well, I think it's coming to the end of the season. So this is when records get broken, when they get broken, right? We're not breaking records in May and June, right? Records get broken, at least season-long records get broken in September. So I feel like that's why we're seeing them now. They're cropping up quickly now because this is when records break.
But it's like the combination. You can put together any combination you want to make it be like, oh, Freddie Freeman's the first baseman to hit 20 home runs, slugged 642 with an on-base percentage of 900 in the month of September. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, where they're just like piecing like 3 or 4 stats together to make him the first to ever do it. Like, I get that Freeman's a great player. Like I said, I want him on my team, but it just seems like they're shaping the stats to like where it's like, oh, he's the first player to ever do it. That's kind of what I mean. I don't
hear
mean.
you. I mean, I think, I think baseball's starting to understand too. I mean, this is how you continue to keep the game relevant, right? Like people love records. I mean, we're talking about it now. Not that we have 7 people listening, but we're talking about it. This is what happens. I mean, like people break records, and then records get talked about. And so the more you have records that are broken and records that are out there, first guy to do this ever, first rookie to do this ever, first guy since, whatever in 1902, like records get broken. We talk about records. It keeps baseball somewhat relevant. I think there's some of that goes along with it too.
Yeah.
Like
I'm just saying, like, I take more stock into like a single record, like 105 RBIs out of the leadoff spot. I feel like that's one record that, like, yes, no one has ever touched that milestone. And then when you piece like 3 or 4 together, it's just like, okay, now we're just trying to find things
that no one's ever done before.
Well, we live in this advanced stats world where now they've got access to all this stuff, so they can make all those connections where they couldn't in the past. So I think part of it is they now have visibility to stuff like that they never did. And I think it's a little bit of like what Sean mentioned, trying to create a little hype and excitement to get people to, tune in and watch Freddie Freeman, because he's the first guy that's ever hit a home run on Tuesday after eating a ham sandwich for lunch. But this is a game. This is a game that's all about stats. It's a stat-driven game, and people love that crap. They love to know who's the first to do this and what combinations. And so I think baseball is trying to feed the hype machine a little bit. I think they've also got the ability to make these connections they really haven't before with all this advanced stat stuff they track. And it creates a headline.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think if you ask the players, I think you ask Freddie Freeman, he's going to say, yeah, I don't care.
Right.
Like, that means nothing to me. But to MLB, it's important to broadcast it.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with you, Sean. I think it is a way to definitely get people to get eyeballs on the screen and to watch the product. And like, I totally agree with that.
And I'm not knocking the strategy, by the way, because it works.
Yeah.
Oh, 1,000%.
I mean, it's like that's people talk about it. And the more people talk about it, the more it's on social media, the more it stays relevant. So I'm not knocking the strategy. But I do think that plays a role of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of stats, we have a new member of the 40-40 Club. And we have a week to get 2 stolen bases to be a member of the 40-70 Club. I mean, Ronald Acuna this season has been crazy impressive. That 40th home run he hit down the line was an absolute laser. I love the celebration around the bases because he knows how big of a milestone that is, right? 4 people have ever done it, and he's now the 5th. I asked this a couple weeks ago. Sorry, not a couple questions ago. Is this one of the, I mean, Shohei aside, obviously, is this one of the best overall statistical seasons we've ever seen out of a hitter? Like probably. Category for category, OBP, batting average, stolen bases, RBIs, home runs. Like,
well, let's see. What's the numbers as of right now? Let me look it up.
So batting average is 336, 143 runs scored, 101 RBIs, 68 stolen bases, 415 OBP, 595 slugging, OPS of 1010.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Jesus.
I think it's up there as one of the best.
372 total bases.
Yeah. 143 runs scored. That's ridiculous.
It is.
210 hits.
He's scoring more than half of the times he gets on base by a good clip. Like he's scoring almost 65% of the time. Well, depending on how many walks he has, it could be about half the time.
Well, he's got
He gets on base, he
78
scores.
walks. I saw, 78 walks.
So it's 2. So
Yeah.
he's scoring.
78 walks and 8 hit by pitch.
So he leads the
86,
National League in
too.
plate appearances. He leads all of baseball in runs, all of baseball in hits,
Baseball
all
in
of
hits,
baseball in
all-
stolen bases, all of baseball in OBP. He leads the NL in OPS, OPS plus, total bases.
All of baseball and total bases.
Yes, sorry, all of baseball and total bases. Yep. Like,
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously the National League MVP. But yeah, I mean, I think it might be. I think this is up there for one of the best like statistical seasons.
I mean, you have in our lifetime.
At least in our
honestly,
lifetime. Yes, at least in our lifetime.
I mean, you have Miguel Cabrera's Triple Crown season. That was pretty impressive. But like, this guy's blowing away everybody in every category. Like, it's not just like the three big ones. It's like all of them.
yeah, 'cause it's what he's doing. It's runs and stolen bases. Like, it's not just that he's got a high average home runs and RBIs. Like, he's doing everything else too.
Yeah,
The guy just wreaks havoc out there.
it's crazy. I mean, it's unreal. It's definitely the best season I can ever remember seeing out of a single hitter. It's nuts.
Well, Miguel Cabrera's all right. So Miguel Cabrera's Triple Crown season. What was that? 2000 and looks like 12. Is that right? Yeah, 2012.
Sounds about right.
All right, so 44 home runs, 139 RBIs, 330 batting average, OPS of 999, so a shade under 1,000. Total bases of 377.
So he has Acuna beat by 50 total bases. You said
50
he
total
was at-
bases. No, Acuna was at 372, wasn't he?
5 bases.
Oh, 5
Didn't I
bases.
see him at
Sorry,
372?
math is hard.
372 versus 377.
Yeah,
Math is
right.
hard.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say. All right. So Harrison, you get Acuna's up right now for me for this year,
Yeah, I got
just
Acuna
so I
right
don't
here.
have to keep going back and forth. All right. So Miguel Cabrera, I mean, he's got him on the home runs. Miguel had 44. Acuna's got 40.
Yep.
RBIs, Cabrera had 139.
101.
Acuna,
Yeah.
101. Okay, yeah. So he's got him certainly. 330 batting average for Cabrera.
336.
336. Slugging for Cabrera 606.
595.
So 10 points higher, 11 points higher.
How about
OPS
OBP?
of not OBP. Where am I? OBP 393.
415.
OPS 999. He's at what 1010.
Yeah.
1010. 1010.
1010. Total bases 377 to 372. Miguel Cabrera's Triple Crown season was ridiculous. I mean, Acuna's is right there with him.
Do you have doubles
And then
there?
he's adding almost 70 bags. Cabrera in 2012 had 40 doubles.
34. How many total hits?
Total hits 205,
210.
Yeah.
210 already. So I might put Cabrera's with the 68 swipes. Hopefully he gets to 70 swipes. I mean, that might be a better season.
Yeah.
143 runs too is
Yeah,
a joke.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
I mean, that's also a product of who's hitting behind him. I mean,
And
that
his speed.
lineup.
And his speed.
And
I
his
mean, there's a
speed, for
lot of
sure,
hits Cabrera's not scoring on that Acuna is.
Right. Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, it's crazy. So I mean, I put this season up with Miguel Cabrera's Triple Crown season
Oh,
for sure.
easy.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Absolutely insane.
Yeah,
But-
it's wild. He's doing it all, and he's playing disgustingly good defense.
It's just kind of absolute cannon strapped to that shoulder. It's
He's a
gross.
freak.
Yeah.
Not right.
All right, couple injuries, notable injuries. Sandy Alcantara done for the year. So even if the Marlins do make the playoffs, Alcantara will not pitch in the postseason.
I don't think they're all that bummed about having a guy with a 6 ERA not pitch in the postseason.
I don't think so either. And talk about a big fall off, man.
Huge.
Cy Young winner where no one could touch him, and now he can't get anybody out. It's
Makes
crazy.
no sense.
Absolutely nuts. Mike Trout done for the year. They're pretty much. I mean, the Angels have canned it in since
They've been
I
done
don't
for the
know,
year since the
May.
1st of September.
Yeah. His stock in the offseason, that's going to be interesting to keep an eye on to see if he does end up getting moved. I know we talked about it a little bit last week. I think if he does get moved, it's to Philly. I mean, he'll definitely waive a no trade to go to Philly. That's his hometown. So I don't know. What do you guys feel on that? Do you think he moves or do you think he stays?
I think
he
he's too
likes
hard to
it there.
trade. I think he's too hard to trade. That contract only get absorbed by so many teams.
I think he loves the idea that it's like LA, but it's not LA.
Yep.
And he just gets to be Mike Trout out there. He doesn't. I mean, when was the last time you saw him in a commercial? Like he goes to Philadelphia or New York or Boston or LA or San Francisco. He goes to cities like that. Like, dude, that's going to come with you having all sorts of like your face all over the tube. Yep. You're doing all sorts of commercials and all this. I don't think he likes any of that stuff. He loves like once a year he goes to an Eagles game and he gets to wave the towel and people cheer for him because he's a big Birds fan. But like that's it. Like that's the one time a year outside of a baseball game that you see his face on TV, and I think he's totally fine with it.
That's fair.
And he has a full no trade, right? Like a full no movement.
I'm pretty sure. I would imagine.
I'd be surprised. I mean, if there's teams he waived for, Philly's probably one just because it is like hometown. I'd be surprised though if he gets moved.
It's such a big contract to move. You know, how many teams can slide a $40 million payroll player into their lineup?
Right.
No problem.
Right.
And a guy who only plays 100 games.
Yeah, full no trade clause and has 7 years and nearly $250 million remaining on his contract.
What do you do with that?
You buy a lot of houses. That's what you do with that money. You buy a lot of houses.
You don't buy houses. You buy.
Well, yeah.
Well,
whatever.
Mansions and apartment complexes, and they pay you forever.
You know what I mean. You buy property.
Dang,
yeah, dude, that's crazy.
I'd just be happy with $250.
Oh, easy, dude. Are you kidding me? We're eating good tonight.
Crazy. Yeah, right. And then we have one player that retired, Sean Doolittle. So I mean, just kind of
you got a nice little thing.
reliever.
Got a nice little thing from the Nationals, though.
Yeah, funny how that works. The Nationals actually do give some guys a nice little send off.
They had a little like Doolittle Day or something.
Yep. Yeah, of course. And then they tell Steven Strasburg he has to report for spring training next year. Absolute joke. Did you see all that report, Sean?
Yeah.
I can't with that.
Let's move on.
It makes me so mad. All right. The last thing I have is the rounding third fantasy baseball season is wrapping up. Yours truly lost in the semifinals. So we have the finals here. We have Jack Wood against Chris Buckner in our fantasy finals. So good luck to you fellas. I'm hoping at some point to get a rounding third plaque with the fantasy runners, fantasy winners inscribed. I can put it like right over my shoulder here, and that'd be kind of cool. So that's our second annual rounding third fantasy baseball season. And we will have a winner by next Monday, I think, or maybe even next Tuesday. I think this week goes a little bit longer. Yep. But yeah, so good luck to you two this week. I'm playing for the bronze medal that no one cares about. So yeah.
Sean's still enjoying his Wander Vision. So
yeah, I that goes to show you the last time I updated that. My team name is still Wander Vision, which is it's just an awful look for me. I mean, that's just so bad. That's so bad.
He only has eyes.
I mean,
never mind.
Easy.
He's definitely got the vision.
Yeah, he's got vision. It's just the wrong vision.
But yeah. All right. That's all I had on my list for this week. Do you guys have anything to add?
I got a few things.
All right, let's hear it.
First off, Aaron Judge, JD Martinez, your players of the week. Judge had an insane week, so did JD Martinez. JD Martinez looks like the old JD Martinez. So
he does.
Congrats to the Dodgers for making that move, getting him relatively inexpensive for what you got, and letting him have a monster year. So those are your players of the week. Two things of interest. If you haven't seen it, try to go watch the clip. Joey Votto got his standing ovation for what could be his last game in Cincinnati. That was yesterday. The fans gave him some love. He was able to step out of the box, wave his helmet, and get his acknowledgement, which is nice to see. That guy is a legend of baseball. Whether he's a Hall of Famer or not, a whole nother debate. But when it comes to just great people in baseball, he's one of the tops.
He's easily one of my favorite players of all time. This guy is just awesome. Everything about him, every video clip that you see of this dude, like he's cracking jokes or like he's doing something for someone. Like I love the TikTok that he makes with the fans when they ask him. Like it's just it's awesome. Like baseball needs guys like that. And I mean, I would love to see Joey Votto for one more year. I mean, I think he can still produce. He had a decent season this year.
I'd love to see him just
he
like
came back.
Be an assassin, like Jose Abreu did, and like went to Houston. Like just be an assassin and like go take like April and May off or like whatever the rules allow you to do, and then like figure out which team is it, and then just go join them.
Yeah,
like I would love to.
But,
go get a ring.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that for him too. But I think he's the type of guy where like once a Red, always a Red.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think he has interest in going to another organization. He said he's loved being around these young kids. It has kept him, vibrant this year. And I think he likes that. And I would not be surprised if you see him in this organization in some shape or form after he retires. No doubt in my mind.
Yep. And if I remember correctly, I don't think he has a personal services portion to his contract. But I think there's one waiting for him where he can kind of stay with the Cincinnati Reds, be like a baseball ambassador to them. But there's a lot of indications that he's likely going to retire because physically he's not sure if he wants to do it anymore. But plus he has other interests. He's doing this voiceover work for this SpongeBob thing, and he's doing some stuff with kids. And he's finding he's enjoying life outside of baseball more now than he was before, and he might go explore that. But either way, the dude is an A-plus legend of the game. He got a great standing ovation. The fans treated him really well on what will likely be his final game in Cincinnati. But wherever he goes, I just hope he keeps popping up around baseball because it'd be a shame to lose a guy like Votto.
Absolutely.
And then lastly, another legend of the game. We're now watching the final week of Terry Francona's career. So this is the end for Tito. He is retiring after this year. He will 23-year managerial career. When you look at his coaching tree that's out there and you look at the players he's coached, the championships that he's won, the impact he's had, Terry Francona for sure will go down as one of the legends of the game.
Yeah, he'll be a Hall of Famer too.
Yeah.
I don't have any doubt in my mind he'll be in the Hall of Fame as a manager.
Yeah.
And deservedly so. Like that trivia question you asked a couple months ago, Sean, like what is it, 7 managers?
His coaching tree is ridiculous.
Current managers?
Yep.
Yeah. It's
and there'll be more.
Impressive.
There'll be more of them. There'll be former players and end up coaching too. So,
for sure.
But yeah, major impact. But this will be his final week, and I do feel like the Guardians kind of did him dirty, trading away players at the deadline and kind of weakening that team. So he went out. He's going to go out like he does. But it is what it is, and it is the end for Tito. But boy, did he leave some memories.
But I mean, that could have also been the Guardians being like, "Hey, like." We know it's Tito's last year, even before he announced it, and was like, this is our chance to kind of like rebuild with a new manager and give them a fresh start too. So, I mean, I kind of get it. I kind of understand what you're saying too. Like you're not giving him a chance to compete for the postseason in his last year, but
you got to do what's right for the organization, and I get it. But yeah, so if you catch a little bit of a Guardians game, you'll see the end of Tito Francona.
Yeah. All right. Anything out of you, Mr. Bogue?
No, I just think at some point it's just hilarious. We're 6 games left in the year, and the Red Sox have a 0 run differential. I mean, like there's just something about that symmetry that's just. I mean, that's right. Yeah, I mean, like they score a lot of runs, they give up a whole lot of runs, and like they lose games they shouldn't lose, and they win games they probably shouldn't win, and then here we are at like literally a 0 run differential with 6 games left. I just find that incredibly hilarious. So, that's all I got.
Yeah, at a 0 run differential and expected win loss of 78 and 78, they could not be any more vanilla down the middle than they are.
I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's like. You almost have to applaud Heim. Like, this is what they wanted from him. Just put me a mediocre team on the field. Like, he did exactly that. He did exactly that. And he lost his job.
Yeah. Thanks for doing exactly what you told you to do. Now there's the door.
Yeah, no, get out.
My God.
And there
All right.
is the San Diego Padres are 5 games out with 6 to play, and there are people in San Diego saying that they are gearing up for a playoff push, which I find laughable.
Hey man, if I say it, if they do it, I hope they win the whole thing.
That would be friggin' wild.
We're sitting here just crapping on them all year, and they become World Series champions.
We're like Melvin's gonna lose his job.
Yep.
He wins the whole thing.
Yeah.
Baseball.
That team didn't come to life until about 2 weeks ago.
Only took us 150 games, fellas, but we're still in it. Let's go.
Yeah, down to 6 games left, and they've won 9 of their last 10.
Crazy.
Anyways.
All right.
Sweet.
Well, before we go, just make sure that you can share our page, you can share our videos, you can share our reels, like our reels, comment on our reels, all of that stuff. Do whatever you can to share. You can like and follow us. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. And we will see you next Monday at 8 with the season wrapping up and the playoff picture possibly intact. So we will see you next Monday at 8 p.m. Chat.
Yeah. See ya. Enjoy a great week of
Later.
baseball.